Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 70 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Woohoo! Episode 70. World download time for you guys at the end of this episode as usual, so don't forget that part of things. And as you can see, I've dug out a new room. What could I be working on today? Well, there's one thing that I've been doing. As you can see, I've kind of cleaned up some of the things down here. The wool farm that I set up last episode is running beautifully, if I do say so myself. We've got all kinds of good wool, and stuff's working, and things are great. What I'm working on today is something that's going to pretty much go towards helping me out in the future with some of my planned builds. Often, you guys have noticed that I'm in the middle of building something, I'm low on stone, or I need glass, or I need something like that, and I need to craft it, and especially, I've had some sand lately because my quarries have run into sand, but I don't have a ton of it, and I would like to have a steady supply of all those building materials that are kind of one of those almost nuisances to craft, right? Like, I don't really need to have, sand and smooth stone being crafted on demand. I'd like to have a steady supply of it at all times that's automatically refilled. Usually on the Forgecraft series, Soren builds some kind of CobbleWorks, and it's usually taking cobblestone, grinding it into sand, smelting it into stone, smelting it into glass, making all the stuff that you can get from those materials. So that's what I'm going to work on today. Something similar to that, but I'm going to put my own kind of build on it. I'm going to make it nice and compact and tidy and neat. Soren usually likes to build it like overboard and go crazy because he imagines a scenario where we'll need like a billion pieces of glass. But I usually say like, hey, you don't need that much glass. So that's what I'm going to work on. But I'm going to combine that with a build that I'd like to start working on getting something else. I'd like to get my way towards some octuple compressed cobblestone, mostly because we can use this stuff. You guys have seen me craft bedrockium before, but you can smelt octuple compressed into a block of bedrockium. But there's other good reasons to get compressed cobble, so I would like to start building a cobblestone compression factory as well. So this is going to be a dual-purpose build. We're going to use the cobblestone that we're going to produce from a cobblestone generator to do both the CobbleWorks and the compression of cobblestone. Does that sound like a cool plan? I hope so, because that's what we're doing today. So first things first, I've got some barrels ready to go here, and this is going to be where we're going to do all the storage. These blocks here are going to be responsible for the pulverizing and smelting, respectively, and these blocks over here are going to be automatic crafters that are responsible for everything. So why don't I start prepping all the items I'm going to want to use in this build, and then we'll come back and do some cool stuff. Sound like a plan? Alright, see you then. Alright guys, time to build. So let's put together the redstone furnace and the redstone pulverizers. What I'm thinking is the pulverizers can go here. So pulverizer, pulverizer. And for now, we're just going to empty out the configuration of the sides. Up here is where the furnaces are probably going to go. So redstone furnace here and here. And again, we're going to empty out the sides. I haven't entirely decided how I want this to flow just yet, but I'll figure it out. So I want to get some power tapped into that thing. We should have some redstone energy conduits ready to go. Thank you. And let's tap into the line that we already created over here. That seems like a pretty smart move, because it should be very easy to do. And don't panic if you suddenly stop hearing the sounds of my pickaxe, because it's probably just a side effect of the sound muffler that I have over there. We'll put this here, and that should be powering all our machines now, yes? Awesome. All filling up with juice. Cool. I did make these resonant, by the way, so we'll probably want to speed them up, but we'll see. They're resonant, so I can speed them up to top tier if necessary. The second thing we're going to want to do is start creating cobblestone. Now, what I'm going to do first is probably move these things. So I've got my dolly, so let's do that. We're going to want to set this up like the following. We'll break 1, 2, 3. Pop this guy down here, and we'll do the same for sand and gravel. So I figure sand, gravel, and cobblestone can sit on the bottom down here. and glass, smooth stone, and if I decide I want anything else, I can put it in there as well. I have room for 6 barrels, is what I mapped out. Cool. Maybe I'll move marble down there or something, just, you know, or dirt, doesn't really matter. But for now, that's cool. I'll probably want to get the storage buses hooked in. Actually, let's do the storage buses now. I need to find some cables. Let's snag ourselves some fluics and some dents just in case I need it. I might need more of this stuff, but we'll see what we've got, and then we'll figure it out. And while we're at it, storage buses, we're going to want 3 more of these. Oh, missing cobblestone. Pure comedy at that point. Right. Missing 8 cobblestone. Alright, let's plug in our current storage buses, and then we'll talk about moving this stuff. And then this one as well. Cool, so that's everything? Yes. 3 storage buses, and the conduit cables and whatnot. And for now, I'm just going to cover up the wall so no monsters wander in here. So right on the other side of this wall should be what I want to run. Now, how am I going to tap my AE system into this? Let's inspect our cable situation. So we've got room for 4 on this line. We're going to need more than that. We're going to need 6 storage bus slots in total. This line here has room for, I don't think, quite enough, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, that's only got room for 4 more as well. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to have to find a way to connect this thing, aren't I? Good times. This line definitely has enough dents, so let's do this. Let's see. If I tapped in another dense cable, that might be doable. Let me figure out what I'm going to do with my AE system. I might want to do another P2P. That will probably work. Yeah, I could do 2 P2P connections. Let's do that. Let's do a P2P times 2. We'll get those guys crafted. And then here's what I'm going to do. You ready? We can tap into this line with the P2P connection. And we'll go under here and come up through here. How's that sound? Yeah, this will work. So we'll do that, and then I'm going to want my P2P connector. I think we want to shift click, successfully save settings. Cool. Or is it the other way around that I want that? I always forget which way the P2P needs to go. I think it needs to go... Yeah, the cable has to go into the P2P. That's right. So let's do this. You ready? We'll put cabling here, the P2P connection there, that there. Save the settings. So let's just count the lines, right? We've got... If we look up here, this conduit line has 4 channels in use, right? 4 of 8. And if we come down here, and we run this connection like so, and then we put the P2P connection tunnel here and load the settings. I don't know if that will yet use up a conduit cable connection thingy. Probably not yet. Okay. Pretty sure this is the same channel and network and all that stuff, right? Probably. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one probably connected into here, so that's 4. Okay. And then let's use some smart cable here just to measure it. we'll put our storage buses. So 1, 2, 3. Cool. And that should work. Oh, right, we need to power this connection. That's right. I forgot about that piece of it. So let's see. I did that over here with the quartz, right? Yeah, let's get some of that quartz stuff. So remember, this network needs power, right? So put your quartz connector here. And that should get us going. Nice. So you can see now we are using a total of 7 channels. That's not what I expected. Oh, right. I know what I did wrong. Derp. Dire derped. I want that P2P connection to be further up the channel. Yeah, because I want that P2P connection to come across this whole line. Yeah, duh. What am I thinking? You guys should have yelled at me about that. So let's fix that. I want the P2P connection, so that should clear out those channels in use. The P2P connection should be more along the lines of here. Yeah, tapped into this line. Yeah, let's do this. Hold on. We'll put the P2P here. And then shift click this thing. I don't know if this will work actually. Now I'm testing the bounds of what I know about P2P connections. Right click this thing. Will this load up and behave itself? We'll find out in a minute. 3 channels in use, so that's cool. This thing's using 5 channels. That's kind of what I wanted to see. And this thing's using 3 channels, and this thing's using 25. So I've got this right. Nice. So that's cool, actually. That is cool. Right? So what we've got is we're tapping into the dense cable here. We're coming off. We're branching into the P2P connection here. We're hitting this line, and we're tapping into it, and we're saying we're using just 1 channel. That's neat. 5 of 8. Okay. Cool. And I should be able to see my cobblestone now. Oh, I can't. All right. I may not be able to do this then. I thought that would maybe work, but I guess it's not. It should, though. Let me troubleshoot this a little bit. So, guys, I did everything right except for one point. I only had 2 channels available on this conduit line going in. I thought I had, a handful here, but then I forgot that I had these things going here. So actually going into this, we only had a couple channels available. So it actually didn't fit when I plugged in those other lines. So I wound up running it over to here with a cable anchor blocking this from connecting. And then my P2P tunnel is here. As a matter of fact, I could probably save some cabling here. If this wasn't here, that would actually be better, wouldn't it? Doesn't matter. Point is, it's working. So I can see my cobble now. Hooray, cobblestone, gravel, sand, it's all back. So that, actually, everything I did worked. I just didn't realize that I was over-taxed on cables. And this is getting to the point where I definitely, this is the funny thing about ME systems, is when they kind of grow organically and you don't plan ahead with them, you can kind of make a mess. And that's, I think, at the point where I'm at. So I might need to rethink some of my wiring at some point. Maybe it's getting to the point where we might need to start looking at expanding or doing things a little differently. But my storage buses should be ready to be crafted. Nice. You can see them running right there. 1, 2, 3. And I can just tap these guys in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That'll use up 6 channels on this smart cable. Right? There we go. And we're still using the same 5 on this one. And we're using 6 over here. So we're P2P tunneled through this network line. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. I think that's really cool. So I was easily able to add 6 things here. I just derped and put it on a line that was already full or close to full. So not smart on my part. Oh well, what are you going to do? And I'm going to put some covers here so that this is all well hidden in just a minute, but I want to make sure everything's working. So back to working on the CobbleWorks. Okay guys, part of the plan for this build is I'd like it to look really cool. So for that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and use item ducts because I think it'll be fun to watch the items flowing through this system and all kinds of neat interactions. And I think I can come up with a plan that'll work pretty well. So the basic flow of this will be that we want items to probably route into this chest first. So we're going to route item ducts up here over to here. And the plan is to have, I'm pretty sure this will work, covers that'll go along here. Let's actually test that real quick. I want to test if I can use thickened glass covers and if they'll connect properly, because I'm pretty sure they will, like almost positive, but I just want to make sure. So let's get, there we go, 36. That should be plenty. We might already have some thickened glass in there, so that's good. Put this guy into furnace mode, grab my thickened glass, and now I have to remember how to make this into a cover. Let's see. Yeah, that's the recipe. Structural duct. Cool. Iron nugget and lead nugget. All right, so lead nugget. We'll get a few more of these. Structural duct. We'll get a dozen or so, and I want to make sure the thickened glass and the thickened glass cover, I'm pretty sure it's set up so that these will connect, but we'll see, right? So thickened glass has that cool connected texture look, and if I put this here, look at that. Awesome. So that is pretty much what I was going for, and it's working perfectly. That one piece there is a nuisance to me, but that's okay. I think I might be able to... No, I can't. Well, it's not the end of the world. I'll live. It looks pretty cool from most angles, except for this angle. It's all right. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's still cool. I guess it kind of makes sense because it is coming up there, so that's all right. We'll leave that be. So the first place we want it to go is into there. And then the second place we're going to want this thing to go is into these guys. So we're going to route our item ducts like so. Cool. So we're going to make sure this is configured in closest destination. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks away to get to this thing. So the first destination for all the cobblestone we're creating is this barrel. Any cobblestone created after this barrel is full will get routed into the pulverizer and then routed into this pulverizer and so on and so forth. That's kind of the plan. So, you know, that's kind of step one. And I'm going to put covers and everything here, and this will all look good in a minute. But we'll see. For now, this should work pretty well. Actually, I don't want to have these covers here yet because I'm going to be doing other things. And then the final destination for this stuff will be right under here, and this will be our cyclic assembler that'll be compressing cobblestone into compressed cobble. And then it's going to go double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple, septuple, octuple. Cool? That's kind of the plan. Now, when we want to pull items out of here, boom, we're going to do this, and we're going to connect this so that it pulls items out. So we're going to make sure that the configuration here, you'll notice the pipes aren't connecting, but once I configure this to be input, the pipes will connect. And the same for the sides. Both will output here. Both will output here. Cool. Oops. Like that. Nice. We're probably going to want a trash can to be like the last resort, and that's probably only going to be for gravel, because as this stuff produces gravel, we're going to want that to be voided. So we'll manage that in a minute. But that should be fine. And then we're going to want the items to come up here and start smelting, I think. So we're going to want to figure out how we want that to route. I'm thinking we'll have one connection. Let's get rid of the light source there, and we can put a new one here and here. And then we'll have item ducts here and here. That looks neat, right? So we could have this be either the import or export. It really doesn't matter. Let's do export on the sides, just to stick with kind of the same plan that we had underneath, right? And then we'll have imports from the bottom. That look cool? Yeah, that looks pretty neat, right? So what we're going to have is items getting pushed out and sent down, and we're going to need to filter these things, right? Well, we shouldn't really need to filter too much. There might be a need to be a few filters, but we're also going to want item ducts here and here. So that should be neat. So if we were to place Cobble in this chest and start pulling it out, first place it would go is here, second place here, third place here. We're going to want one of these to be dedicated to cobblestone turning into smooth stone, and one of them to be sand into glass. Cool. So we want to probably set up some filters. So let's do that. So filter. I think I made a couple of them. Hardened filter. Yeah, we'll make another set of those. So 2 hardened filters. I'll grab the third one just in case. And we're also going to want, resonant servo, reinforced servo. I don't know if I need a second servo. I think I really only need the one, but we're going to find out. So the resonant servo will pretty much be pulling everything out of here at full speed all the time. We'll say ignore redstone, all of it's going to come out. This thing is going to be a filter, and we're going to whitelist cobblestone. And this thing's going to be a filter where we whitelist sand. Cool. So this will be the sand smelter. This will be the cobblestone smelter. As a matter of fact, I am completely backwards on that, so let's do that. It was the bottom that we're importing to, right? Yes, the bottom's the import, so we're going to want to put these here. So you whitelist cobble, you whitelist sand, okay? And then this will get pulled out. Inserting into the pulverizer, we're probably going to want filters, because we don't want stone to land in there. It probably never should. But we should be a little bit careful about that. So let's craft a couple more filters just so we can be very clear about what's allowed to go where. Hardened filter. So it was the bottom that we had the imports on, right? So filter, filter, item duct. And you're whitelisting cobblestone, and you are whitelisting cobblestone. Cool. So let's actually test this a little bit real quick. Now, in terms of smooth stone and glass, we're probably going to want to run this up the wall if we can. So let's do this. You ready? Do I have any more item ducts, or have I used most of them already? I have used most of my item ducts. And boy, is my inventory getting full, which is pretty common these days. Alright, put away these things. I don't think I need them for the moment. You either. And cool. So this is going to come up the wall here. So as a matter of fact, I hate when there's those loops like that. But I really want that to be the way things are. I know there's a way to block this. Let's see. I think what I need to do is right-click that, and it prevents those connections. Nice. So this is actually going to come up the wall and go like that. So I guess if I want to prevent this connection, I could do something like that. That's kind of cool. So yeah, that should work. Now what we're going to want to have, I don't know what's going to go in this barrel yet, so I haven't decided that quite, but this guy is going to be, well, let's make this guy smooth stone. Let's swap these actually. So where's my dolly? There we go. And that guy can be glass. Pretty soon I won't have to craft glass on demand like that. Cool. And I can then reconnect these connections. I had them disconnected because items were going into them, and I didn't want that to occur. Cool. So now, let's see, glass. If I pull that out, and there we go, cool. Nice. And just to be extra smart about this, I'm going to lock these. So these three are locked. These guys are now locked. Cool. All right. Back in a second once I come up with my next plan. All right, I'm going to borrow my world interaction upgrades and this thing here. I'm going to either replace this later or something. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I want this setup down here to be doing something similar. So let's get this going. So you and the lava. Cool. And then the transfer node with the world interaction upgrades. So that should be filling up. You can tell, by the way, I've turned off the resonant servo because I don't want anything flowing just yet. I want to test this properly. So let's snag a couple of these. And then we're going to let this run for a moment. So let's say this is ignored. He should pull a bunch of cobble. So the first destination for cobble should be there, the barrels. And then we're going to tell this thing to stop. Cool. So you can see everything's kind of processing. We're getting some bounce back. That's fine. Sand is making its way into here. That's cool. I like that. Glass is making its way out. Very cool. Now I kind of wanted sand to round robin itself. So I might need to configure that, but we'll see. For now it's actually looking pretty good. That's cool. There's one setting I might want to do to my resonant servo. Alright, while I'm here, and because I have a bunch of stuff bouncing around in there, I'm going to prep for this next part of it. So this is where we're going to have our first cyclic assembler, which will go here, and it will be configured to accept items from the bottom. So now cobblestone should manage to filter its way into there at some point. I might need to tell it what's allowed to go in there. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm going to definitely need that filter. I have an extra one of these. And we'll whitelist cobblestone, so that's the only thing allowed in there now. That's much better. Oh right, I'm going to have to trash can gravel. I forgot about that. I'll get to that in a minute. For now, I should be able to just throw it in there and it'll trash. Cool. Alright, so cobblestone's allowed in there. We will program the schematic right here to be cobblestone into compressed cobblestone. Check. 9x cobblestone. We just need to power this guy and we'll be cool. And just because I don't like seeing that. There we go. Nice. So these things, this cobblestone, I'm gonna say it's probably bouncing around right now because it didn't know about that destination when it left the retriever. But that's okay. It'll sort itself out. But you can see everything's pretty much working the way I want it to. There's just one or two more tweaks I might want to make. So I think what I want to configure here is I want to actually put resonant servos on here, even though they're not necessary. And I'm going to configure them for round robin. So what that's going to do is it's going to, A, speed up the transfer of the sand throughout the system. So we should see sand moving faster now. And it's also going to take turns, going from from the smelter to the storage. So you'll notice now that every other piece of sand, right, they just went to the cooker, and now they're both going to the storage. And next they'll both go to the furnace, and next they'll both go to the storage. Cool. I like that. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to do. The other thing I wanted to do is probably add a trash can option with a filter for gravel. So we'll do that in just a second. Let's get a trash can down there. So we want to make sure that gravel and filter. I'll do the hardened one just because why not? And gravel I'm not super concerned about. So I guess what I should do, though, to make this proper is let's get some lead ingots. I want to grind them up into dust. And I believe if I combine the lead with that, we get a dense item duct. Cool. What this means is that regardless of the destination routing, I don't think it works for round robin, but when it comes to things like nearest first, so I'm not sure if it'll actually work with the round robin configuration of this. But like I said, I'm not super concerned about gravel, but I'll do it just to show you guys how it works. When you're in nearest first mode, the dense item duct kind of acts like a really far away destination. So it's kind of like the destination of last resort. So we're going to whitelist gravel. Cool. So now gravel is kind of the whitelist of that. So that's the only thing that's allowed in there. Everything else will kind of run. Now what should happen is when we have a backlog of things, so for example, when we fill up glass and fill up stone, these things should stop being allowed to export, so they should therefore stop running. And the same with everything else. Cool, right? That should be neat. Let's also go ahead and configure this guy to run. Ignored for a couple seconds. That should at least send some cobblestone out. So now that piece of cobble will probably route its way somewhere. We'll see. Kind of want to see it eventually make its way into the cyclic assembler if it can. Alright guys, now comes the part where I start cleaning this mess up that I just made. So, I think we can use some smooth stone covers here to cover this stuff up. And that should look halfway decent. We're definitely going to want some covers and whatnot there. Let's get into bat mode. I'm probably going to want some of the facade covers going on. So let's do those. Covers. What I want is the cable anchors with smooth stone. Cool. Let's get a bit more of these. That should look halfway decent. One, two, three. Look at this, huh? I'm going to leave that open for now, just so I remember about it. This can be kind of well covered up. Not terrible looking, right? So far, so good. Probably even cable anchor that stuff, but I'm not going to worry about him right now. In this room, I wouldn't mind having just a little bit of niceness going on. So let's maybe... like that. And like this. No. Ah! Did not want that to be the case. Let's drop this. I don't know how I'm picking up so many items, but that's okay. Probably because I just got knocked out of a cable and we're confused as to what just happened. Let's put away the junk we have. You go away, glass can go away. Cool. So we wanted a cover here. I just want to kind of make this look nice for you guys while right before we do the world download. Normally I would say like we'll come back at this point and pretty up this system, but for now, like I said, we're about to do a world download. I'd like to have this thing be relatively nice looking for you. Hey, I said cover and cover and cover. Not terrible, right? Maybe even a cover here. Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, so thickened glass can go there. That might even be better as smooth stone, but we'll see. That's not terrible looking at this point. I wouldn't mind a cover back here, covering this up. Yeah, look at that. And maybe back here. Cool. I'm going to want a few more of those covers. Come on, clear. That'll do. The connected textures look a little bit rough. I might see between this episode and next if I can come up with a better solution to that. But overall, like, that's what we're looking at for the flooring. Might wind up, I don't know, like, this might look better. We might, just because of that one angling there, I might want to move this down one more layer so it's all just regular thickened glass instead of thickened glass covers, but we'll see. I mean, it makes sense that that's not a clear texture like that, but it just looks a little bit off to me. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. How's that? Yes. Tell me in comments what you think about this whole thing. For now, though, I think I'm going to wrap up the episode here. We'll come back. I kind of had intended that we could have this whole thing done before the end of the episode, but we just ran out of time. Things happened and stuff. So I'll come back next time, probably speed this system up a little bit with some of the power upgrades and such, similar to what we've got going on over here. I'm going to probably do like the speed upgrades, and then, who knows, all kinds of cool stuff. So for now, Darryl20 signing off. Don't forget, we've got a world download available. It will be available at some point later today, hopefully, or tomorrow. You know, it usually takes me a day or two to get those up. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. We have a lot more cool stuff to work on. I think in the next few episodes, I wouldn't mind getting some Botania upgrades going, some Blood Magic upgrades going, and a couple other cool things. We'll see. All right, guys, take it easy.